that's nice.
My wife too.
Thanks, Andrea. Oh, that, okay.
Thanks, Steve.
This is the bad one, this guy with this tractor runs the stop sign and hit an SUV. He runs the stop sign.
Where was that out?
It's gotta be a pretty deep shit.
This is our change
Al, where
that
was
hasn't
that?
been reviewed
And I
yet.
think I said
Where
to
was
you
that?
that there's
Carroll.
some things.
Oh, man.
Whoop. Into the Carroll County Jail.
Yeah, there were some things that I just kind of plugged in. Well,
Was that Decommissioning?
right, but I don't think, we haven't talked about this yet, so.
Oh, it's about.
Yeah, so that's why I said that everything we've done has been started on. So, yeah, we've been working backwards.
Okay.
Here we go.
Quite naughty. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Should be
Oh,
alright.
yeah, I've got one, you can, anybody else needs that? I'll put it back in the file.
Because they played yesterday.
Yeah.
And then she wanted me. Yes. Oh, we haven't been just telling you.
I've been busy with,
Are you gonna do it?
we just
Yeah.
launched
Okay.
dogs. I don't know, I just keep busy all the time.
Oh, yeah, you got livestock.
Yes. How long you been at it?
Oh, just, we did about, maybe a 300 or 400 acre corn, around the same beans. Kind of get the bugs out of stuff.
Right, right, takes time to learn.
Good evening.
Later.
I did.
I just got in myself.
You got something else going on today?
So did you get ambitious stuff in your grass yet?
Yeah, she did.
She mowed mine today, and I wasn't ready for it, but she said, I'm gonna mow. Yeah, that's what happens.
She didn't mean, that's me.
Any fires today, Craig?
No.
Yeah, one, I was in Ankeny though.
Nope, it's been.
There's one right now, so.
One in Toledo are out.
Oh, really?
Did you hear that one?
I drove past it.
Yeah, it's just so annoying.
There's still at least one fire vehicle out there and definitely a lot of smoke.
Yeah, I don't think they meant to start that one.
That's usually how it goes. You're in the wrong place tonight, aren't you?
No, because you didn't go.
Oh. Oh, you're just following me around?
I'm
now?
literally doing what my editor wants me to do, which is.
Okay.
But now
I
you're not
think
going
that,
next week, which I
successful
told him,
farming.
but he didn't seem to care.
We'll see how quick the place on if I go next week.
Do you know which one is on?
Maybe I
But I
just
think
sent
it
it
can't
I think
be
it's
told
under
me.
the knee,
Yeah.
that's all
Sent
right.
it to-
Jordan,
Once
Lindsay.
I read it, it was on my head.
Yeah.
We found it.
I don't know why.
Yeah, 'cause wasn't she the
Well,
one that
it's
did that
sitting on
one?
the,
Yeah, she's
on
just
the
like
wall?
my
other
Yeah.
magazine, they
Maybe you swear.
ain't read for like 6 months. Ain't
The
had
shit
time.
that's going down.
So,
Just be done.
this one,
I don't know.
it was sitting on my
I'll
desk
find
and I
out.
looked at it and I go,
This might
it's
be
been
a-
sitting there for like a week and I go, oh shit, this is one. I need to send this to the board.
These are our last month's minutes, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right.
And then Al sent that in.
Yeah, I'll read that.
I was busy at home, I didn't send them an email telling them that I sent it to everybody, but.
Easy to forget stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna start this here. Okay, the recorder's working now.
This sets me up for failure.
Don't run my battery down. I need that.
It's kinda distracting.
Yeah, we didn't even know when they handed those out that they made that sound.
I didn't either till the last meeting. I was playing with it and it went off.
Yeah.
How did you see this article?
Probably did.
Sitting at home on my desk for about a week or so.
Yeah, I probably.
When I happened to take a look, I was like, oh. I haven't been through any of the farm magazines for like 6 months.
Well, see, it's about 6 o'clock, call the meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does everybody have the agenda in front of them?
Yep.
So I'll be looking for a motion to approve the tentative agenda.
Move we approve the agenda.
A second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye. If there's no discussion. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Now let's look through our previous minutes before we approve them. Got 'em?
Fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would there be a motion to approve the previous minutes?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the previous minutes. Any discussion? Not. Motion approved to approve the previous minutes. Motion carried. Opening remarks by our administrator.
Okay, we got one letter from Al here that came in, that was the only one that came in for this meeting. And, then I emailed you all some of you get successful farming, some of you don't. I just happened to notice it yesterday on my desk and, realized the heading on it there for the solar energy, that's concerning the, community solar. So, that talks about, pros and cons and concerns and everything in there, and I haven't taken time to read through the whole thing yet, but decent article there. Also I included, for the zoning board, the annual and other meetings that, I have to schedule here for the year. Obviously this year, drafting the solar ordinance, when that is done, it'll be the wind ordinance then. And then every 5 years, starting in this year, 2025, need to review Tama County zoning ordinances. And then January of every year, need to review the Tama County land use plan. So when January comes, then you guys will tell me what dates you want to have that on. So that's all I got today.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Al, do you want me to read that letter, the comment you made for this?
That'd be fine.
After, this is for our zoning commission. Al Shafeball, after Paul Lovell, Renewable Energy Siting Manager for Clean Energy Districts of Iowa, attended the last zoning meeting, I wanted to comment on his speech to the board. Paul stated that Howard County used TIF to bond against future taxes from the wind towers. Howard County is now using that money to repair bridges and roads. Howard County has spent the money now on bridges and roads using taxes that will be collected over the next 20-30 years. Bond must be paid off with the future tax, so all income from tax on wind towers will go to pay off the bond. Tama County did the same thing 15 years ago on the wind towers by Gladbrook. Tama County used TIF and bonded against the future tax, and now using all of the current taxes collected for wind towers to pay debt service on the bond. Paul also told about the Lynn County plan that developed a scorecard for solar development after the supervisors approved 4,000 acres of solar panels, built about half, and now is working to restore nuclear power to the Palo generating plant. I'm not aware of any solar built after the solar scorecard was approved. The zoning commission needs to continue with the current solar generating plant zoning regulations that are supported by the citizens of Tama County and not by a siting manager for the Clean Energy Districts of Iowa. Thank you for allowing me to comment, Al Schaefer. Thank you, Al. So the lie opening. All right, next up we've got reviewing our road use agreements and the permitting and review procedures. I think we'll start with this packet that Steve or Carol put together.
Steve.
Oh, I just had it. There it is.
13 is where we started. That
Page.
starts where we,
Started making changes. Page 13. Let's just go through this together, read them together quietly probably, and see if we catch anything that we want to change or we don't remember it being put that way.
when I did this, I copied and pasted and I tried to go through and change things to Tama County. There were some things in here that I wasn't sure about, like we actually have some of these departments that they talk about, so if that needs to be changed, and I do see a Des Moines County in here too, so.
Yeah, there's no 3 Des Moines counties.
Yeah, we can catch them as we're going through, all right? So let's just read through page 13 in red to ourselves, and we'll go page by page here, see if we find anything we want to change, or that we doesn't look familiar. If you're like me, you've got a lot of things on your mind all week and since the last meeting, and you gotta kind of retrain your brain to start concentrating on this stuff. Look good?
Looks good.
Let's go to 14, if you're ready.
Hi.
good.
Anybody has a comment, just throw it out there.
On C, the line of sight analysis, what did we,
The page.
on 16,
16?
C, visual impact, what did we say we're gonna have for setbacks from our occupied? Wasn't that 1,000? Or we're gonna come from the property line.
Shoot, what was that?
I was trying to find that, and I don't see it in here.
I don't think I added it to this, cause I don't think we knew where we were putting this in yet.
Right.
Okay.
But we didn't have that vote. And I was trying to find the minutes with that, cause this, I think, ought to be consistent with that. And then,
That's a good point.
So, March 4th, you discussed all that, you have there's a whole paragraph here of those. But I don't know where to put that. Yeah.
Thank you. You wanna look at that?
So you go back to the number, page 9, I guess it'd be 8. We got setbacks.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if that needs to go there.
And then, yeah, I put it in the last section right there, and we have it set up right now. Front yard setback shall be a minimum of 500 feet, minimum from the edge of the right of way.
we're 1,000 feet from the occupied residential thing, so really to do this analysis,
We wanna make it the same, don't we?
I would think that
Yeah.
would wanna be 1,000 feet too, because that
Yeah.
wouldn't be the impact.
And we're at 500 there.
Should we scribble that in right now? Or do you want to
Yeah,
mess this up?
you just tell me where you wanna put this and I will put it.
Well, for C, let's change the 500 feet on page 16 to 1,000,
This will go in, I think, ahead of,
and that'll go back to page 8. In
So-
our, go ahead.
setbacks number 3 on page 8, that's where that will fit in.
Okay, so the 500 is 1,000?
On C,
Right.
yeah.
And then if you put the rest of that in, just,
So then, are we taking out what's already here and just putting that in?
I'm trying to read through that, figure that out.
To me, that would kinda make sense, wouldn't it?
yeah. Just take,
Yeah, take that paragraph C out and then replace it with the
Well,
one
it's
side analysis and these
No,
numbers.
these will go up on page 8, go back to page 8 where the setbacks are,
Page 8 here.
yeah,
Right,
that's what these will fit in.
but where on page 8, do we delete some of this that we've got here?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, read that, and that kind of,
otherwise it'd be some would be redundant, wouldn't it?
Yeah, confusing.
Yeah.
So we actually,
do we address everything that's there now?
well, I'm just noticing that the original Tama County draft had a quarter mile under D on page 9.
That's for accessory buildings and,
All buildings,
Infrastructure.
accessory building,
Yeah.
all buildings. Accessory building and other infrastructure shall be located a quarter mile from any residential dwelling.
that would be, if you have transformers that are gonna make noise, or if you have, like, machine shed where you're gonna have a lot of traffic come in and out, things like that.
But we're gonna leave this 1,000 feet as it is here.
Right,
Alright.
that I think we
talked about that.
well, we voted on that, passed that. So unless we change it, that would still be at the quarter mile, it's listed in Tama County, we can keep that, it's for, would be for the accessory stuff. down there at Palo, there were places where there'd be like, parking lots, and there'd be a lot of machinery coming in and out, and things like that. And that's the kind of thing you wouldn't want close in it, you want that quarter mile anyway. Yeah.
Is that gonna make sense?
Well, since we talked it through, yeah, well,
So you wanna add an F underneath that?
Well, I'm wondering where we should put it, all right.
Well, that's really kind of the.
okay,
A and
so maybe we should just go through each one of these things and decide, is it staying, and then maybe that'll fit in someplace.
Yeah, does it?
So A is fine, right? Where it says the front yard setback should be a minimum of 1,000 feet, that's fine?
Was that?
This is it, this is in here.
Says the front yard setback should be a minimum of 1,000 foot minimum, that's minimum twice.
Yeah.
I think 1,000 should probably just be 1,000 feet. From the edge of the rights of way, which form the outside perimeter of the solar farm, and 100 feet from a residence owned by owners of the Serbian estate. So we put in 1,000, but we also had over here, ages ago when we worked on this, it said 100 feet from the residence owned by the owner of the Serbian estate, and I don't know if that's part of that.
Yeah, we didn't address the Serbian estate and all that in
No.
in our discussion here. I'm wondering if we shouldn't stick this in under setbacks. And if we got everything covered, if we,
You're talking
Get
about
rid of
that.
the other, yeah.
Get rid of the old.
Yeah,
So
will that
just,
work?
but do we have no approved solar project closer than 1/2 mile of another solar farm? I don't think we said anything about that in our,
Yeah, we need to decide if we want that in there, we should.
And well, that is part of the old Tama County.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, to get rid of all.
Don't get rid of all of it.
Yeah, don't get rid of all,
Leave D and
yeah.
E and
I think C could stay too.
Yeah, I think B would be the one,
so just take B out.
yeah, take B out and replace it with that.
Could we take A out too?
Well, it's stated in there, other one, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
you take A out of there.
I mean, take A and B both out and
A and B
replace it with.
Okay,
Re-letter those and
Yeah.
then,
what we did March 4th.
Right, except the accessory buildings, that we still, that isn't addressed, but things like the parking lots and the transfer
Correct.
things, you're right there, things like that, I think we still.
So maybe take out A and leave B.
Right, yeah, just put this one in place of A.
Yeah, there you go.
That makes sense to everybody?
That's what they call that, A.
Yes. I'll get that back to Carol.
Thank goodness. for
Thank
that.
goodness for Carol.
She had been on board.
So that can be
you'd
A,
be writing everything by hand.
yeah,
that paragraph.
I can't read my writing, so that doesn't help.
that wouldn't be
Okay.
good.
So this whole thing is fine, the way it's written, to put in?
Yeah,
Right,
looks
okay,
good.
it's A.
You wanna read it out? I'll read it out loud, or go ahead if you want to.
Just 500 foot minimum from non-participating owners' property line, 1,000 feet from occupied residential area, 5 miles from public and private airports and heliports, 50 feet from the public roadway, intersection radius, 175 feet from center of the intersection, 1,500 feet from the cemetery property line, 1/2 mile from conservation areas and historic registry areas, 500 feet from confinement facilities, 1/2 mile from the city limits, and omitting privately owned conservation areas.
Should I?
You wanna see that?
I had a thought and I just.
Maybe we'll come back to it.
Oh, we have 1,000 feet from an occupied residential area. I think when we go back to the definitions, we need to define occupied residential area.
Yeah, there you go.
And there needs to be a definition for that.
Okay,
So we talked about what we meant by that, so that,
so,
Well, that'll be under the definitions.
right, I mean,
Well, and I think, I don't know, which one tonight.
kind of define how we.
Yes, it is.
so what's the term you want defined?
Occupied
Occupied.
residential, resident, or no, what was it again? Occupied
Yeah.
It's stated in here as occupied residential area, and we had said that that's, and how
So
you.
include the yard, everything else then.
Right, and, you know, with all the definitions, CSR, it needs to be done correctly, somebody that can.
So we'll throw that in with our definitions later.
Right.
in the meeting.
I'll go ahead and put it in just so it's in, so
Yeah,
we
just
know.
put define occupied residential area up there in the front where those comes up.
Okay. So then this is ready to be put in.
Should be in place of A, right?
Yes.
And back on page 16C, then I think we could go to match that up and change that 500 to 1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
What else? Do we need to change?
Yeah, everything else, 16 looks good.
So move on to page 17, after we change that 500 to 1,000.
In A, we have it in Des Moines County.
Wayne County there, full.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Small,
before we move on, you said on 16, change this 500 to 1,000.
Is this new way?
No, you're fine.
Got our noxious weeds in there. So that's the only change on page 17, isn't it? More
This is-
entertainment.
One thing I wanted on 17, under 4, it says, in order to demonstrate compliance with the requirements of Article 3, Section C
Right.
of this ordinance, where, I don't know where Article 3, Section C was.
Well,
Well,
that's just part of this, so I think when we're all said and done, that might come out.
We'll have to, yeah, just,
we'll have to, you know,
We'll have to
whatever.
find if we have to put something in there.
we'll have to identify it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just,
Yeah. Put a star of that, so.
yeah,
it doesn't get
exactly,
away.
so we find out where it's at.
Yeah, there's a couple of those in there where it
Yeah.
refers to.
Good point, Steve. 18?
Let's see here in 18.
Oh, 18 looks fine.
Now, I can't remember why I highlighted in yellow that part about the FAA. I think it was something we added, and I don't remember why. I had a question about it. Okay, so that we added in FCC, and I just wanted to make sure that sounded right. So the original just said that, this shall also include any applicable permits from the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, concerning the reflective glint and glare generated by solar panels in the city of airport runways. And then I added in necessary to the project. I don't know if that sounds okay? You just said add FCC in, and I didn't know if that sounded
Some of
okay.
them had that,
Yeah.
interference with
Yeah.
the inverters, if you're high frequencies, but
So that sounds fine, I just put that little caveat in there.
Did good there.
Oh, and there must have been if we're on 20, there must have been a question about stormwater management plan.
It says you might need to expand this section
Yeah.
in an effort to minimize any erosion and limit any potential damage to adjoining properties. You must have a mitigation, water runoff mitigation plan. Does that sound right?
can you write that out?
I got it written out, I wrote it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's-
Can you just email that
I
to
think
me?
that sounds.
Yeah, yes, I will email that to you.
Where was the road use? Did we?
I think, didn't we look that up and it was where we said it was, where it says this article, didn't you look that up once and we thought we had it in the right place?
Page 24, road use agreement.
24?
I just happened to turn to it.
15 road use agreements, and this, look on here, it says road use agreements as outlined in Article 5. So,
Yeah.
all these, because
So we
we're
just
taking
take
one
that
out of
out.
this ordinance, and one out of that ordinance, we're gonna have to go through and
So
look at
I'm
A's and
like
B's
that.
and 1, 2, and 3s all.
So we can omit 9 on page 20, right?
No,
And then
no,
we'll.
this is for the, part like when they're making the applications,
Yes.
that they have to have
Oh,
the road use
We
agreement.
just wanna get rid of the Article
Right,
6 of the ordinance,
Right,
or
so it-
clean it up to
It says as outlined in Article 6, and this would be outlined in.
where we don't even really have articles.
you
no,
know,
I haven't put those in, cause I don't know all the legal,
Okay.
The road use agreement,
Yeah,
but
you,
right now it says 15, but, you know,
well, you put in as outlined in the road use agreement of this
Right.
ordinance, just,
oh yeah, there.
we don't
Okay.
necessarily have to have page numbers or articles, right?
Outlined in road use agreements of this ordinance.
And the same with the decommissioning
same.
plan.
Right. And once we have all the A's and B's and C's in there, we could put those back in again.
And refer to the correct one, yeah. We got too many counties too over on the
we
page.
don't put into one county.
Yeah.
Yeah, then at the bottom, when they're paying it, you have section G of this article, whatever the.
Okay,
Which, I'm not doing anything to this anymore.
alright, so that was another question to be in compliance with all Tama County Solar Ordinance. That was just a question we had the last time.
Where you at, Carol?
When I turned the page to 21, after all of that, I wrote at the top because that was a question we had. And I don't remember what it was.
Was this about the payment? Payment for required administrative fee? Is that what?
No, I don't know what this was. Maybe the recording is just outline section of the article. I don't know what we were thinking. But I do have a note back here from our notes that said we need to know what the fee schedule is. Research a fee structure?
Right, then.
Yeah.
We had, you know, what Tama County already has.
Has their own fees.
Page 23 goes through the whole fee structure, little one.
Okay.
On theirs, I don't know.
Yeah, so that was highlighted too, because that's
Right, I
not
think
ours.
we need to see what Tama County is now, and then possibly we replace this with that.
fee structure.
Right, that's a good question.
Did you have that, Bob? We were talking about the fee structure.
Fee structure for
Permitting.
the permitting,
Yeah.
yeah, we have that fee structure ready for the,
Right, so that probably, we should look at
that
that.
dollar amount and everything.
Yeah, see if that fits with what we want this to be. If we need to adjust it for this, if that looks like one that would fit, then we
Well,
would stay with that.
You're talking about the fee structure just for the structure itself.
For citing.
For the, yeah,
For
for
the
the
permit.
Yeah, just for the solar panels.
If it's, this one's, the one in
See,
here
if
is
it's-
based on
if it-
size.
Yeah, if they say if it's, they go by the dollar,
$200
they go by the dollar amount.
Yeah.
Of what it
Okay.
is,
Okay,
is what the fee is, fee structure goes by the dollar amount.
is that, would that work in here then, do you think?
Yeah, because, that way it's fair to everybody, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever dollar amount you're spending,
Could,
they,
it'd be good if we could get a copy of that, I don't know where.
yeah, I can get that for you, let me see if,
Somebody would just
yeah,
email out
office
to us.
over here.
I don't know if we need it right now.
Just to make sure we're covering the
Be good
county
to
on
see
the
it,
costs,
yeah.
you know.
I don't know if that answers my question, why we have up here to be in compliance with all the Tama
I
County
don't either,
standards. I don't think that has anything to do with the
Fee structure.
fee structure. We've gotta,
I don't know why you would have that in there,
I don't
'cause
either. I wonder if it was on the notice,
it was not compliant with the ordinance, it's not gonna get permitted anyway.
Right. Unless you're referring to something particular.
Yeah,
We talking about the citing permit, or are we talking about the?
Top of page 21.
Yeah, I don't have it on the Madison notes either, so I'm not entirely sure why we wrote that in there.
yeah, everything on 21 looks familiar and decent.
Oh, okay.
Found it?
Yeah, right at the beginning here. So on the Des Moines County one, it was right away under C, it said the height and size dimensions of solar arrays and other structures that comprise the SFES, including the height of arrays at maximum vertical tilt and their width at maximum horizontal tilt, need to be in compliance with Tama County Solar Ordinance. And I have a note here that it says at end need to meet all Tama County, so it's like at the very end of it, it needed to meet all of Tama County's ordinances.
What was at the beginning, what you just said?
We wrote, so this was on the Des Moines, so it was under this one, and under C, and I wrote in here, need to be in compliance with Tama County Solar Ordinance, and then we said at the very end, everything needs to be, we have to have a sentence that says, needs to be in compliance with all Tama County ordinance. But I don't know, like, why we stuck it here, like, why,
You got a spreadsheet then, so you just add
I
it
don't
to
know why.
it.
Yeah.
I don't know what we did,
That's what's in there right now, and then see, that can be changed in the ordinance.
so maybe, I don't know if you remember, this is where we wrote it in at, on Des Moines. And I don't know why it ended up here.
Was there anything separate in what we pulled out of that Des Moines County? I don't think there was anything that referred to.
I don't know if that just is
Specific
accidentally
heights.
there, or,
Oh, using that for,
because we have it at the very beginning.
In ours, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's there. section we wanted to say that everything should be in compliance. Is that a good place to stick that, or should it be at the? Because the next section, which is assistance for county review, doesn't really have anything to do with the permit for the ordinance, so I wonder if that's why we wanted to put that sentence there, that everything should be in compliance with Tama County Solar Ordinance. Because the application, all of our definitions for the application are now done, now it goes to the review and the public hearing and vote, so I wonder if that's what we meant by that's the end of that, should that go there?
Possibly.
One other thing we gotta do too is change this February 4th, 1918. This is way in the front.
That's okay, I can put it in the next window, so.
The plan was adopted in February 2025, we just adopted that new.
Okay, right here. So you said,
So it's updated.
what was the date you put there? Oh, just 20, we don't really have.
I don't know if
We approved it at the last meeting,
you
we signed it all.
Oh,
Lenient or structure
is
alteration.
that your last one?
Well, so the erection of a building or structure,
It wasn't much for,
so I would
because I was not here.
structure that.
March, March, yeah.
You haven't covered solar structure?
Right, and that's,
Okay.
if we need to dial in what's title of
March 20,
we do that right now, we get those fees every year.
March 26th.
26.
Okay, so I'll change that to March 26th.
Oh, that's the solar.
Okay.
I'm gonna bother you until you're done.
I'm late on me.
This is what.
So this
as far as
needs,
fee structures,
okay,
let Steve look at that too, and then we'll look at it together. That would be applicable to a zoning, to a solar farm?
Yeah,
thing?
that's for everything.
Everything?
It's being permitted.
Where it
Okay,
says fee structure, just say it'll be,
So basically it's 10 cents per thousand for each additional thousand.
Yeah.
No.
It's, I see now, it starts at $30 minimum and 50 cents per thousand up to 20,000.
Yeah, so I get rid of.
So a $2 million operation would be how much? You'd have to go through and figure out.
Yeah, you just plug it in and.
whatever that's
you get
called,
the total.
fee structure.
So I mean,
Yeah.
we get several $1,000s for some of these big.
That's plenty to cover all the costs.
23.
23,
Yeah, when you're talking millions and stuff.
so you want me to take that out?
All the highlighted stuff.
Take all that out, put that in?
right,
That's
so
what I
I would
was
say
thinking.
fee structure and then,
34,000 or whatever you get for,
you could,
and then when they have to do an
Okay.
extension.
we could put that all in there, where you guys address that.
For example, just using that 34 as an example.
Sure. But as long as it's recurring like that,
Maybe it'd be smart just to address it and not put it all in there, because if they change the fee structure, then we'd have to change the dang ordinance.
Yeah, so we just say that the Tama County,
The Tama County.
Yeah, you refer to the fee structure in the
Yeah.
Tama County zoning.
Okay.
I like that.
So really, it kind of says that already, it says fee structure, all applications for a siting permit shall be accompanied by the payment of an administrative fee to compensate county staff
is
and
that in the
officials for
zoning
the application review process
Yeah.
per Tama
Yep.
County fee schedule.
Basically that.
ordinance?
So that
That's,
first
that's
paragraph.
in the zoning ordinance now,
Correct.
so we
Yes.
could refer to where that is in the zoning
Oh.
ordinance.
Right.
The fee structure on page.
Yeah, you refer
Section
to-
something, section something.
Refer to the section if you like.
Okay, so I can get rid of everything else after that.
Yep,
Yes.
starting with number 1 and scratch them all.
1, 2,
So-
3.
Just,
So on this, when we know where we're putting, where it's gonna be, we can say refer to the fee structure.
right, well, in that one, does it say what it is?
Article 20,
Article 20,
Yeah, the
zoning
section.
certificates required.
Tama County zoning.
Section, this would be section 2002, fees.
And when you revisit the zoning ordinance, then you may decide that you wanna up the fees or what, make any changes that you want, you can just do that.
It'd be great not to say anything in
And you
there.
won't have to say anything in there because it refers
Yeah.
to
With your point
Refer to
there,
this.
whatever you, whatever you change in that, then it will refer to the zoning.
Yeah, don't you think that?
Yeah.
I think that covers.
Yeah.
And then if it does change, then we're covered.
Yeah, you're covered in there, you don't have to rewrite anything in this one.
Inflation doesn't bother us at all.
Trying to make our lives a little easier.
Yeah.
Right.
I figured out something.
Do you wanna keep this then, you wanna keep a copy of that, cause I'm not putting it in, we're just gonna refer to
Yep.
it, I don't need it, so. Okay, so back to that little question there about needs to be in compliance with all Tama County solar ordinance. Do you want me to leave that there since the application permitting thing for the permit, it's kind of comes to an end there? To leave that with that last note?
It's on page 21.
Yes.
What do you think?
Just as a gotcha. I mean, it's kind of covers everything.
Yeah.
You gotta be in compliance.
Okay, I'll leave it.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Now, we're at road use agreement on page 24. Are we all there?
That's where I'm at anyway.
Well, is everything else okay then? Cause I don't know, I didn't hear anybody talk about the rest of that public hearing vote. All that's good?
I think we're all good there.
Okay. Except there's some things in here that talk about articles and.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
and then somebody comes down the road with a combine, they gotta get out of the way.
Go traffic, considering race.
Okay. I'm ready.
I think everything was there, the financial security, I think we had addressed that, some other places that we wanna make sure that is.
Who did we steal this road use agreement from? What was that?
What's that?
What county did we steal it? Was that Madison or anyone? Not that it matters, I'm just curious.
I don't know. Might have
One
been.
of the others, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
24.
24?
One thing we had discussed that I think needs to be in the road use agreement was that they have large enough parking area that they don't park on the road. When they're bringing stuff in.
Big laydown area.
Right, that they, it's planned where they don't have to be parking on the road when material things are coming in.
Where should we put that?
Now, I have seen that in some of the other ordinances. I don't remember how they worded it. When I go back and try to find them, then
Right.
we just go through pages and pages and pages and I don't find it again.
Would be right towards the, under A, wouldn't it? Right, where it says therefore it is necessary to ensure local residents are fully prepared for this traffic disruption. Maybe we should stick it in there.
Where are you at?
Page 24.
Road use agreements, A, purpose.
Oh,
How do we word that, Wade?
Adequate space must be maintained to
That could be another,
allow for,
The construction.
well, delivery of
for delivery and
of materials on site.
so that no parking is required on the road.
Traffic flows are not disrupted.
There you go.
Okay, say that again.
But I just say parking, parking on the road is,
Don't park on the road.
yeah.
long-term parking on the road is prohibited.
Well, even short, like, they get a train and stuff coming in and then they move
Yeah.
one and then they move another and it takes all day to get it in where they can, if they, what's coming, if they have enough room for it, can drive in, not,
So really adequate space needs to be maintained, so there's no disruption.
no
For
parking on
normal
the,
traffic flows.
no,
Adequate
no
space.
parking on the road is required.
Steve had it once, but.
Must be maintained, yeah.
And that has to go with how they schedule materials to be received. to the
Material
deliverer.
delivery
Some of those ordinances have
during construction phase.
like certain hours of the day that they couldn't, past certain hours they would. That they wouldn't work, and we don't have that in here.
Adequate space must be maintained for materials, material storage. During the construction phase to minimize impact on local traffic. I wrote it down this time.
Then,
What was the last part of it, Steve, after, during construction phase to eliminate traffic disruption?
Adequate space must be maintained for, on-site, for material storage during the construction phase to minimize impact on the local traffic.
I said, we're for receiving materials, not really storage.
Yeah, material storage, I guess, yeah, receiving materials.
Or receiving, that's what it's
Or
coming in.
receiving and storage.
Yeah.
On-site for receiving materials. During the construction phase, to minimize impact on local traffic.
You got it, Carol?
Got it.
We had had a lot of discussion too about who's enforcing this, is it the county engineer? And I didn't know if we needed,
We had that, I just saw it. Right there on page 28, this says
Okay.
county engineer needs to be able to legally enforce, need to find out how to word this.
Let's go through 25 and 6,
That's
don't
fine.
jump too far. You found it, that's good. 25 and 26 looks all right to everybody.
The rest of that looks good. Financial security is ordered.
Yeah, I was gonna get rid of like the section Cs or section Ds, whatever, when they're referring to things, just kick that stuff out of there.
Where's everybody at?
D. Page 26.
Financial security?
Yeah. We talked about having a cash bond versus a surety bond or other form of financial security. I don't know.
Well, we got a number 1 there.
Yeah, under number 1, I know we've talked about instead of a bond, having a cash,
right,
the bond is,
A surety bond.
yeah,
just as good as
irrevocable
cash.
bond, you can't, there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with surety bond. Do I?
I don't either, I don't think
Okay.
so.
I don't think I do.
I think on the construction side, it's probably, okay, when you're tearing it out or the decommissioning, that's a different story, because that one they can walk away. Here, they're still involved, and the surety bond is probably acceptable here on this side of it. Some other, the financial security that's approved by the board.
Which it says deemed acceptable to the board.
Yeah, deemed acceptable but to the board. Yeah,
Right.
There you go.
I guess as long as the board of supervisors approved it, then it'd be okay. Okay, that's fine.
27th?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Good.
28. Noted in there, how do we?
I think it's through our enforcement deal.
Use of detours as a result shall not be implemented until developer has notified the administrator and county engineers and roadways to be used in transporting the equipment has received their approval.
Where you at?
Top of 28,
Yeah,
the red.
20,
Oh,
bottom 27, the top of 28. Until I've notified the administrator and county engineer of any additional roadways to be used and received approval.
cost for any emergency repairs borne by the developer.
So you wanted to add something, right?
I think that looks fine. Wasn't it?
What's that?
I think it pretty well covers it.
Yeah.
You know,
What you just read.
Well, I just had to notify the administrator and county engineer
Yeah.
of additional roadways to be used in transport of equipment and has received their approval.
Oh, and, okay,
Oh,
you
okay.
want that added in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. I didn't.
Read that again slowly.
Or just at the end of this here, you're on 28.
Yep.
Transporting your equipment and has received their approval. You don't just tell them you're gonna go do something.
Yeah.
You get the okay.
I thought the way you were reading that was part of the ordinance. I wasn't following along in the wording, I was just listening to you.
So have we adequately worded that all right then? Agree with Lon?
Now, how do you wanna enforce it?
It should be up to the engineer to do so.
County engineer has,
Yeah, I mean,
he has to be the one to decide.
Let me write this.
Yeah, this is the one where some of these things we're gonna have to send it up and,
Attorney or someone?
but that,
Put a little legalize to it.
what they need to do to legally enforce it.
I don't think there was anything in any of these that talked about this particular, being able to legally enforce. So I think that was the problem, none of these said anything like that.
yeah.
Any cost of completing such emergency repairs as determined by the county engineer shall be borne entirely by the developer.
Right.
So right after emergency repairs, just put
How was that again, Steve? Right after cost for completing such emergency repairs?
yeah, emergency repairs, deemed necessary by the county engineer shall be borne entirely by the developer.
Okay, deemed. either changed or added.
One question I had was just under B, under page 29. The site shall be inspected to identify the presence of any potentially hazardous substances or contaminants. Who inspects it? We should really specify that. Is it the county engineer? Is it the consultant that we hire? Is it somebody? I mean, who does that inspection? I don't want them to inspect it.
Right. Where's that under what?
It would be 2, following the removal of structures, utility lines, and equipment. All remaining materials and debris shall be removed, and the site shall be inspected.
By whom?
By who? That's what I'm saying. That's what. By, let's say, designated by the county. Then it could be the county engineer, it could be.
Yeah, it could be the county engineer, but.
Or it could be someone the county,
Designated.
consultant that they hired, or anybody, I mean, just. So it shall be inspected
There should be somebody designated by us.
designated by the county, yes.
Yeah.
Because if you don't designate it,
They'll do it.
yeah,
So
they'll
the
do
site
it.
should be inspected by,
Someone designated by the,
By approved inspector by the county, by Tama County,
By the county approved inspector.
county approved inspector, there you go.
that sounds better.
All that looks good.
On to 30?
I assume the red is just what we added.
Yeah.
Okay.
cause I think what we did, we just pulled Des Moines, but then we added in.
Yep, that sounds familiar.
That was Wade's suggestion, I remember that.
See, that,
Leaving
some of the,
access roads.
some of the other counties have that in their ordinances.
Under B, we have specific measurements shall be provided for the corn suitability rating and the extent of soil compaction. Should that be done by the Tama County land use? Who would do that? Who would do the inspection and make sure that it's, I mean, you need to have somebody reliable, or is it Iowa State, or is it somebody?
Al,
Al, who would do that? Who would we get to? We need specific measurements provided for corn suitability rating and the extent of soil compaction we're looking at. Who would come on and tell us what the corn suitability rating of that ground is? Who would be the best one in the county?
You should be able to.
Assessor's office has it.
It's just a foreman.
Yeah, the assessor's office, or you could pull your, whatever, those surety maps or whatever they are that,
talk about like the compaction though.
Yeah,
This is after the fact.
this is,
This is after the fact, isn't it?
Yeah.
After
Decommissioning.
this is decommissioning, so
Would you get somebody from Iowa State, or how would you?
I'm sure somebody could, but I don't know who would, other than they go by a formula with certain soil types and certain criteria, because they added criteria to it. And it's CR2, and compaction was one of them, they added to it.
Alright.
We just wanna add in there, kinda like we did before, someone designated by,
designated by the county or designated,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
by the county.
I have a quick question. If you're gonna throw in checking that after, you don't have anywhere that says they're supposed to confirm what it is before for CSR2, do you? Because I don't know how often they check those and update those for the county.
But it's all in the bill.
Before the permit
It is
is
in there?
issued,
Before the permit is
you
issued.
check
Okay.
the CSR. with the
Yeah.
assessor.
You guys are very cryptic with your let's keep A and let's keep B. I wasn't sure what
Yeah,
you'd include in that. So.
But
so
I
this
think,
is-
yeah.
It's just like if they're
Whatever the
building a
way-
house now, they wanna take a piece, we have to check the CSR and see if they have to go through board of adjustment.
Alright, so we said before by county approved inspector, would we use the same thing, if you get,
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah, I do the same thing, just so we got somebody in there.
Oh, that's, yes, two calculated.
Bob could do it.
He's got free time.
Yeah.
No, we just, when we have to look that up, we just go to the assessor's office.
Yeah.
'Cause I checked on that the other day because I said, well, we're gonna have to check CSR on everything. So that's what we do.
That's good.
They'll have they've got it recorded there, and then whoever gives them the stuff runs the formulas. But all of this stuff, or the solar, the building houses, or machine shed, or anything, I mean, you know, every once in a while, you'll see somebody wants to build a machine shed out on the farm, so they don't have to travel something out. The CSR is up there, then they'll have to go through Board of Adjustment, and see if they'll let them build it.
Well, this is on Iowa State University Extension, cost computing Iowa Corn Soup Valley rating for your farm. And to compute the CSR, you can manually calculate the weighted average or use the dishes and cool tool calculating. And so they evidently have a tool that does that. So Iowa State set up. You have to go and just follow the steps. Not something we really worry about until it's sold, but they spend a lot of time trying to equalize good and bad, so that every day you're farming, you don't really care whether it's what the CSR is that day.
The way the ordinance is, they'll never get that far anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like.
Includes 6 different components, so it's pretty complicated.
On page 30, where you at, 33?
32.
32.
We went through this pretty well.
I think
Yeah, I think we're pretty solid on all of this.
this was done more recently.
It's a little easier to remember that way.
Right.
Under financial security, number 2. So we talked about 130% of the total cost.
That's what I'm trying to remember, is that right?
That sounds right.
Page 33?
Yeah.
Or 30%?
That sounds right.
Is that what we- is that what we agreed on?
And that would, how often was that updated, Dennis?
Every 3 years,
Yep.
and I think that's pretty good, I mean, that.
That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah. social security has not been renewed at 90 days prior to the anniversary of the previous bond filing or renewal, then the owner or operator shall take steps to begin the decommissioning at that time. I think that, 90 days, I think that'll,
Puts teeth in it, no?
yeah, put some teeth into it.
The thing is, they walk away and then they don't upgrade it, all of a sudden you got more cost.
Walk away and leave it, yeah.
When we got bond,
If you get into an inflationary period, like you only got so much time.
yeah.
I mean, that's what, kind of what Des Moines was protecting against.
Mhm.
Is that.
I'm thinking everything else looks pretty decent.
What's that on the are you at 36, you been there
I
yet?
did get to that.
The bottom of that,
That is just the original, that's from the original,
zoning
yeah,
ordinance?
so that's just in, we've never addressed that, so I don't know. I think a lot of it's already addressed, like the fee structure, we talked about compliance.
But that's the building, for the building permit, is this operation?
I-
Pay the amounts portion of the electric capacity that approved solar farm, are they gonna pay on as they operate this thing also? Do we get a fee back?
As far as, wait, I mean,
Well, as they generate electricity. How much
Yeah.
that- Yeah, how much that comes, is that what this is addressing here, is it?
I think that's above
Issuance
our,
of order, or is that?
no, I don't think so.
I don't know what that was, and I don't have
I
an
don't-
original, I don't have an original anymore to know what that says.
Yeah,
Oh, Lewis, page 37, it looks like.
What's that?
Look, we're going from 36 to 38, it looks like this section 6.
We're trying to figure out on the bottom of page 36.
36.
37 is in there, it's just talk the effective date and that's it.
We're trying to figure out the
Okay.
fee structure for
Fee
issuance
structure
of
for
order.
issuance of order on the bottom of that, section 6, number 3.
We've been talking about decommissioning all this time,
Yeah, but I think we're,
and now we're changing,
This is upon issuance of the order approving.
I think that might be redundant. You're
I
talking,
don't think I have.
It says the following amount proportion to, but I don't see any following amount.
yeah, that's why I'm almost thinking that we've cut and pasted this to where this might be a redundant section.
Let me see if I have an original.
Iowa Code section 564A.
0.5.
Yeah, we need to find out what that is.
Let's see what I have here. That's not original.
I got that too somewhere. 15 and back is 16, in the original one. You don't have front and
Okay,
back.
yeah. Fee structure, that's something, yeah, we never got it done.
So is it just something that, was it part, what was attached to in the original?
On the original one, when we got it and they gave it to us, there were some things that they had left open. And that was one of the things that, yeah.
But what was this?
This is like the original Tama County.
What was this attached to? Like,
The original,
what
original.
came?
The original one that they sent out.
No, I know, but.
You know, there were a lot of things like setbacks, and like, places that they had,
left it blank.
yeah, and they left it blank, and that was one of the things that we were supposed to figure out.
So section 5 is decommission plan, section 6 is rules and regulations. The date. I don't know.
And that was, so that was one that we hadn't addressed, and maybe that's something to look at and still look into, because this is, upon issuance. Boy, and we'll have to look that up under Iowa sections of it.
That was
See,
voted.
yeah, if you, like I said before, when you go through here, you look at the Tama County ordinance, there's so many other provisions, Iowa code chapter, this, Iowa code chapter, Iowa code chapter, Iowa code chapter. And we really, you know, that addresses that, so we really need to go back to that. The board under Iowa, and then see what, okay, I did that on a lot of those, and went back and forth, back and forth. And that, you know, that, we had that discussion, and someone, when it was one of the attorneys one time, he said, now when regulations are written, instead of referring to another regulation like this,
So this,
that you just say what it is in the regulation.
Did you find the code, Craig?
yeah. I'm not gonna read it all to you, I can tell you that much.
It's too long,
This is-
isn't it?
The way the original one that we got was written,
Right.
so then Iowa code, it's just, they refer to it and refer to it and refer to it, instead of just spelling it out each time.
Right.
And that, like I said, that one,
Solar Access Regulatory Board may petition the district court for an order removing a solar access easement granted by a solar access regulatory board under this chapter, under any of the following conditions. A, if the solar collector is not installed and made operational within 2 years of recording the easement under section 564A.5, if the dominant estate owner ceases to use solar collector for more than 1 year, solar collector is destroyed, removed, or not replaced within 1 year. It covers a lot of things.
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
That's putting them fairly mild.
And that's why,
Yeah.
that's why, is that, you know, we had that recommendation, not remember who the attorney was, but he said, now when you write it, instead of referring to this one, referring to that, and you just spell it out.
And I think that's what we've done with the ordinance.
With a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, cause there's a lot of this in here that and I haven't read it all
So
by
all
any
these-
means,
all
but a
these
lot of
here-
it's redundant as to what we have in our ordinance. Cause we're talking about some setbacks and crap in here too, yeah, so.
There's one in there, to the extent that Iowa sections 564A H4H1 and 564A.42 and section 564.85 imply that the state owner's property may be educated by the solar access regulatory board to involuntarily create a dominant easement and taking against the desires and wishes of a property owner, even though the compensation be ordered by the subservient owner, the solar access regulatory board shall not entertain and is hereby forbidden to exercise such power of dubious constitutionality. You know, where they're doing what the Adair County said, I have that one right now, where they say, in Adair County, they just spell it out and say, eminent domain will not be used.
We did have that in our notes about eminent domain.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, the way, you know, this is worded here, it's kind of cute the way they word, solar access regulatory board is hereby hereby forbid to exercise such power of dubious constitutionality. And it is spelled out there, but it's not obvious when you, and there's so many of these.
How about eminent domain is prohibited?
Yeah.
I mean, I can.
But all
We
these,
can get our head around that.
Yeah.
and we got pages of these going through,
Yeah,
and you kinda
or something to that
understand what
effect.
they are.
We don't
and
have to,
who can go through and write these all out instead of having to have all these references.
Be this thick.
yeah,
Well, it isn't that much, just like this one, it's actually shorter just to write it out, and what domain, won't be used.
yeah.
And the other, I don't think they'd necessarily be any longer, but,
I don't.
and then this is where kind of, I think a little bit of legal advice is good, does it give us a little more boost to address, with the state whenever, but it's the same thing, if the state regulation changes a little bit, then all of a sudden, do we change because of that, or?
Right.
So, one of the notes we had written on the back here, it says, at the setback paragraph, something about eminent domain. Is that still something we need to put in, or is that, we're not worried about that?
We want it in there, but I don't remember where we wanted it.
Well, this one says, at the setback paragraph.
Well, we're here, it's, basically, that's what it's saying on page 6.
Is that our ordinance?
Number 3, yeah, on the original Tama County ordinance, page 6, number 3. That's what number 3 says, but there, just the way it's worded there, that, when I first read that, and I dared not use eminent domain, and I had read this before, and it just, it didn't register what that was saying. But,
You're looking at this right here.
Mhm.
Right there, number 3 there.
Right, and it says like, sole actors, everybody's shall not entertain is hereby forbidden to exercise his power of constitutionality. This is, you read it.
So if that's in it, then we don't need to worry about writing anything down.
If we stay with these and keep the ones that reference all the state ordinances, if we stay in that format, if we change the format to where we spell it out, then.
Then we got a mess.
But that's where I think this is where we hand it to the attorney and say, this is,
Your problem?
well, this is what we want.
We want,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I really like the way, the wording at the beginning of our ordinance is. That it just seems like a really positive, engaging,
to answer that question on page 36, though, number 3, fee structure. Are we gonna,
We need to refer to this in some form or fashion, because this bill is really, it's comprehensive. It's got everything in it, and it really
564A,
covers us.
this 564A.
Yeah, 564A, yeah, I got there's 4 pages here, it's pretty small print.
I got it all printed out in one of these stacks of stuff here.
I'm not reading that either.
But it's really comprehensive,
Yeah.
it gives definitions, it's got it really would cover us very well, I think.
And
It would assist in covering us very well, Tama County.
is eminent domain covered in that or in another area?
That's what it,
That's what it's referring to.
that one said is referring to how you can use eminent domain.
Yeah,
And in our ordinance, we say you can't do that.
can't use it, yeah.
All right.
You can't do what section, if you read it on there, like, section 564 64, type 64.5, the solar access regulator board shall not entertain, forbid to exercise such power. 'Cause that does give you the power to do that. That, in our ordinance, we're saying that
Does not.
according to that, to the state, you can do that. But we're saying you can't use that.
Where did we say that?
That was page 6, wasn't it, or
Right here.
something like that?
The solar act regulator board shall not entertain and is hereby forbidden to exercise such power of dubious constitutionality. Because this all refers to use an eminent domain, down in easement and all that stuff. But and then this where I think if we just, I had that, Adair County sitting out here and I lost it the way they worded it. Too many access stuff.
Yeah, that last sentence, the solar access regulatory board shall not entertain and is forbidden to exercise such power due to constitutionality. That's what you've been saying, yes.
This is the way Adair County says it.
Would that be simpler than this?
Well, when you read it, you understand it. When you read this,
You understand?
like I read that probably 6 times before I understood it.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I had to go look up the stuff. And that's where, that's
where you
going
need
through
to-
where like 14 times we reference that. And if you just say it, instead of referencing this and referencing that, then it's,
So do you wanna put this in? Since it's spelled out?
yeah, I think one thing we had discussed too, like, you're saying that you can't use eminent domain, but power company, I can't use eminent domain to get to you, so use eminent domain to get to me. That it doesn't, that we don't allow eminent domain. If they wanna get across somebody's property, they gotta work with them. And you negotiate with them and get a, if you gotta buy an easement or something like that, do what you need to do, but not just go stomp on somebody.
Right.
And you're saying that the Iowa, this whatever Steve's pulled up here, the Iowa code or whatever, they're saying you can use it.
Yeah, they're saying, yeah, if you want, you can use.
It might be able to be available to you, yes.
Right, well, you go read it and see what it says, but then in the Tama County ordinance, it says you can't use that.
You can't use it.
Right.
It's confusing.
This is the same thing as you just read down through the ordinance, yeah, does it all come through? And this is just one example, and all those other ones, is it the same way? Do they need to be spelled out? Or are they, do we wanna continue to have all those references? There's other counties I've gone through and read through, and they don't have one reference to that in the whole ordinance. Some of them, like 2 or 3 times they'll have, I've seen some counties with 2 or 3 references to that, 564A. But I've never seen 14 like what we have.
Right.
And whoever wrote this really did their homework, and they did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, they really did a good job with it. But, I just don't know that it's the easiest.
To understand.
It'd be, easy to have contradictory things in there if you, one thing on one, so I don't know which way to go. Do we leave, if we're gonna leave all those references to the state ordinance, then maybe that's fine the way it is. If we're gonna change those, which is, according to that, modern ones do, you spell it out in your ordinance instead of referencing.
How do we get a legal opinion? That's what we need. I mean, we need.
Right, and that's where we need to go. I think this is, we pretty much have everything in here the way we want it. Now it's just a matter of getting it, like where it's referencing section 5 and now it's section section C, and, those things like that. If we just get the things in there that we agreed to tonight, those little adjustments, and then I think we've got something ready to hand over.
Or at least start that process, yeah.
To get it started, right, and then I think there'll be tweaks as we continue to go, I think.
And then once we get to that point, then we have to have hearings, public hearings to approve it, right?
Board of Supervisors does.
And this one on the end where, what those fees are gonna be, I think that still needs to be addressed too, and I don't know where you start with that. We just kind of, maybe we could find some of the other ordinances, but didn't really see that, found it.
Gotta be a public schedule somewhere that you can access.
But I think if we could get the things in tonight that we kinda did, and then,
Well, as we're all confused, I'm gonna bring up another point.
Give that to Lee, since we're not reviewing any of that right now, give that back to him.
I talked to one of the supervisors. Talked to one of the supervisors today, and they made the comment. We've had trouble, before issuing any easements, Butler County did something like this. There should be a public meeting with the Board of Supervisors, and there should be ads in the newspaper by the solar power company that's coming in and promoting these solar structures. We should require them, we should say somewhere in this ordinance, you can't be going out to landowners and drawing up easements with them before you're putting the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, So that's something else to word, or where do we put something like that?
Well, I don't know, if they meet everything in the ordinance though, they can go.
But what the problem is, that's where we've run into this problem over east of Traer is companies have come in and said, oh, we'll sign this, will you sign this easement with us? We wanna do this, this, and this. But nobody's aware of it yet, and on a county level.
Yeah, I understand that.
See what I'm saying? So it causes a lot of confusion, cause that's what we're dealing with right now, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah,
It causes a lot of confusion, but might need a legal opinion as far as how much they're allowed to do
That,
prior to, because usually what they're doing is going out and seeing who's interested in it.
it's more efficient.
Yeah.
they're
And then-
fishing,
Yeah,
right?
and
They're
maybe
out
they
there
get no one
fishing.
to sign up, so why whack the hornet's nest if you don't have any
But when
interest?
they do get it signed up, it's more than fishing. What were you gonna say, Carol?
Well, I was gonna say, now that you guys woke me up, that, secrecy, there's so much secrecy. I know what Bob just said, and that just feeds the darkness of this whole thing. So that I don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what
Right.
else is doing, and it's all shrouded in darkness. And if it was out in the open, anything that is legal and ethical is always in the open. Anything that's not is always in the darkness. And so Bob and I are taking it opposing views right here, because this needs to be out, less confusion if it's out in the light.
Well, I wouldn't say opposing, I agree, but I'm saying.
What do you agree to?
I agree that people ought to know about it.
Before,
But I'm not-
after,
Before,
now, 10
before
years
and
ago?
everything, before everybody's going out and signing up, but I don't know the legal, how much you can prevent them from
Well, let's
doing
do
it.
the word ethical too, Bob.
Well, I know, but you have to talk to the attorneys and see, okay, how much can you restrict
Well,
them?
we don't have an attorney here that likes to talk about this. And
Because,
the Des Moines attorney who was talking about this running the show is gone now. So we need to bring it back to Tama County where it belongs.
because if everybody knew what was going on, then it wouldn't be a big surprise, and I agree with that. I'm just not
Are you
sure.
talking about going backwards or going forward? Because from this day forward, it should be out in the light.
People ought to be able to know that, hey, somebody's gonna be coming around and asking
Selling you
questions,
something.
trying to sell you something, or they're asking questions.
And your neighbors.
Right, I just don't know, you
And
gotta
the
look into the
absentee
legality of how much can you restrict them.
Yeah.
there's a girl back there.
Yeah, and-
Why don't you just look at Butler counties and how they have it worded? Because then you wouldn't have to spend money on the legal issue either, because obviously it wouldn't be in their ordinance if it wasn't legal. So there's no money wasted there. Cause this
Butler County,
legal
yeah.
fee stuff adds up
Well, Heather wasn't sure if it was about the contract, that's what she thought it was,
Yeah.
This big thing?
that addressed it. Have you got it?
Got 'em all, got 'em all.
I'll tell you one experience I had with a guy from Wind that came out, and he had a contract right there to sign, and it was so, talk about a salesman, holy cow.
And your neighbor has already signed this, that's another thing they tell you.
Oh my, yeah, all the neighbors had signed up, and none of, talked to them
You
later.
didn't sign it?
None of them have. Well, I didn't, but boy, I mean, look, it was good, talk about a good salesman. And if you got people that aren't on top of everything, just the signature's on there now. And
Well, they
it's-
bring their
it's not-
notary with them half the time too.
Right, and, some of this kinda needs to be, that needs to be addressed, where you don't just go out and get somebody that doesn't know what's going on,
It's shady.
especially with older people and people that aren't in the.
I don't think I'm gonna have time to look through all this tonight. You've got it.
I have it, yes. I've saved everything you ever given me.
But that's something we need to address, I think.
Well, I just know that it would have been so easy to just go ahead with it, cause it looked like this is just an initial push, but then it was really, you signed up, you're done.
Right.
It's over. And the thing is so tricky, the way it was worded. They can put something on there, they can put nothing on, they can just run a power line across it, they can put a windmill, they can do whatever they want. And there's a little bit a different fee adjustment depending on what they do, but you could just really end up on the wrong side of the thing with that, and once you in there, it looks really good, like you're gonna get,
Sweet deal.
yeah, but then,
Finance guy.
when you get down in the nitty gritty, and they don't, like the last 5 pages that you haven't read,
That's where you gotta read the details. Karen?
So, also, when we interviewed or questioned Dean Fisher, he said that he does not know how much support we've got coming down from the state level, so that it goes right back into the counties again. As he was just unwilling to take it, to give an opinion one way or the other as to if we would have, even for the CO2 pipeline, if we were gonna have any support at all coming from Des Moines.
Referring to the county having the power and.
That we as a that the counties have got to protect themselves, because he doesn't know if we're gonna have protection this session coming out of Des Moines. And Al's shaking his head like no, and I would agree with what Al is shaking his head about. No, we won't get protection. So it comes back to trying to do your very, very best
That's
on the county level. Very, very best.
We were just
I
about,
don't think the state that I was listening to, people that I would know.
yeah, that's the problem.
I just think on these contracts like that, it'd be some, if they take a contract out to me, I'd like them to have an opportunity to take it to their attorney first before they sign on something.
Right.
Because
Well, you should.
what I didn't like, yeah, because if you don't totally understand it, and it was just this simple little piece of paper. I mean, it was like right here you go, I mean, it was right there, and it looked just as in it.
Legal as
You
could be.
didn't realize,
Carol, how does that worded with, preventing them from being able to go out or?
Didn't find it yet.
We haven't found it.
but
Maybe that's
there
not the
ought to
right
be
county,
something
I'm not
where
sure.
I'm not, they have a table of
You're-
contents here,
Yes, but I don't,
it doesn't sound like,
I mean, when you sign it, you're done.
Yeah.
That you could sign this and then you got so long to review it, like you got 30 days or 90 days to.
Well, they won't let you keep the contract to review it anymore.
No, they got your signature.
Yeah.
But you gotta be able to review it.
That's right, yeah.
Well, that's what you should have that.
Anything you can put in there to prevent it.
Huh?
Anything that you can put in there to prevent it, great, but just make sure that
Yeah,
it
that
cause a lawsuit.
if we can.
right, right.
I don't
Got
think you
enough of
can,
those going.
I don't think you
Something
can
knocks on your door.
prevent companies from going out and talking to the landowners. That's-
Yeah, I don't.
That's not possible. And they don't have to advertise that they're doing it either.
Right, but the signing the easements, that's where it gets stinky.
Well, that's,
Well,
Up
they'll
to the
all say they don't want
landowners
the
too, I
competition,
guess.
you know.
What's
They don't-
that?
They don't wanna work the competition.
Right,
There's probably somebody else that might be looking at this.
right.
You just have to investigate to see how much you can prevent.
Andrea,
Yeah.
So, I know this has been discussed before at supervisory meetings. There is an ordinance out there in some county, we'll have to figure out which one, if they went ahead and signed up easements before they brought it to the supervisors, it is null and void. And it was done legal.
It is there somewhere in
It is
one of the
there
counties.
somewhere. We just need to research it and find it.
Well, between now and our
Because
next,
it's been brought up several times.
between now and our next meeting, that's something we're gonna have to do, or else.
And that's
Can the
really
county
how it-
attorney advise us on that?
Yeah, we need legal opinion on it.
Yeah, I need somebody
Right.
from legal.
I'm not sure it's in Butler.
So,
It might not
I know
be.
you guys are gonna end up getting it to us at the supervisor level, but regarding the easement, are we talking about just their land, or what about the right of way? Because the county owns the right of way. So if they, how can they assign off on what's county controlled? So, I mean, how can they, your land,
Our land goes to the center
Center
of
of
the
the
road.
road.
We own the right of way, it's just the
but the
county has.
right, yeah, but the right of way should be controlled by utilities, the county, and all of that kind of stuff.
That's where the road use agreement
Yeah.
comes in.
So,
It's,
I know I own out to the road, but guess what, I don't plow it,
right,
and they mow the right of way,
that's,
so.
you pay for it.
So I
you
think
buy
that's,
it.
taxes
I think
on
that's a
it, yeah.
question that
Yeah.
needs to be, it needs to go up to the county attorney, I believe.
Right. Wanna make a note of that. So everything we've gone up to this point, we've covered it pretty well and we've agreed upon it, right? Agreed upon everything except till we get to this stinky part at the end, page
Yeah.
36.
I think we need to review some of the other ordinances to see
How they handle
how,
it.
you know, what if they have fees and what kind of fees. I don't really recall running into that a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, it'd be nice to talk to the attorneys that wrote this and see what they were thinking, what they had in mind.
Yeah.
And we left it open to us to. Well, we want them to take, there's some reason they put that in there.
I think the Heartland attorneys wrote this, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they did. I might be incorrect, but I'm reasonably sure they did.
Heartland?
The Heartland Free School attorneys.
If it was there and then they, like all these, everything else they had in there, there was a reason that they had it,
And don't hold me to that.
No, I'm
That's just one of the things.
Right.
that they must have had experience with it, seen it, so.
Well, to wrap it up tonight, I did talk to Mr. Fisher late last week, early this week, about that HF 404. To his knowledge, it hadn't made it through, that it was dead. Has anybody heard anything other than that? As far as the law, the bill that was gonna take away local control? I mean, I think it's something we're gonna have to keep fighting down the road. But I don't think they got it, I don't think they're getting that done this session.
I think that one died.
Which,
Just,
there are two different, 404, the one that taken away our control, that was a 3.
That was the Senate file.
oh, that's right.
376.
404 was the
Successor to,
solar,
Solar.
community solar.
Oh, there you go.
yeah, this is
That-
community solar.
And he thought that one had not made it through either, is that right? Do you know
Yeah,
about
the
it?
last I talked to him, he said that was going to be dying, however, and I did tell Heather about it, that, he recommended doing a moratorium. It would be separate from the solar moratorium, because this is community solar, it's a
Right.
totally different thing, so he recommended a separate moratorium on community solar.
Which is
But
up to the
that
board,
would fit this on that House file bill.
which is up to the board of supervisors to set a moratorium.
Right. He recommended that, so that way that would give time
Us a chance to address it.
to do the solar, yeah, for community solar, cause
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a totally different
We
thing.
have that,
It looks like
that's the one we
from
have.
what I've read on this, pretty positive, though, isn't it?
I
A
don't
smaller,
throw
smaller.
any-
Yeah,
Yeah.
more people are more receptive to it, but I guarantee you, here in Tama County, there'll be a problem with it, I guarantee it.
Yeah, but it's local ownership, it has to be.
Oh, your land use plan will kill it, for starters.
Yeah,
You're not getting past that.
Yeah, you gotta get a
Maybe put it on.
conditional use permit, go through the zoning
Yeah,
board, and there's gonna be everybody fighting it, you're not gonna have.
You're dead off the start,
Well, it was-
before you get out of the gate.
It was going on previous industrial property or things like that that had already been,
No, this would be going out on farm ground, if
Mhm.
people wanted it, it would be a smaller scale, it would be like 20-30 acres, for example.
Yeah.
25 megawatts or smaller.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things coming in the mail lately on it.
Yeah, I guarantee you that'd be a fight too, it'd be just like the rest of the stuff, it wouldn't go anywhere.
Before we adjourn,
Because you would have to have it also, how close can you, okay, this guy's got 20 acres, well then his neighbor wants 20 acres. How far apart do you want, there's all kinds of stuff.
you gotta limit the number of acres in the county, that's something you gotta look at, you know.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of things, it's a big mess, you can see it already, you know. So, yeah, I did tell Heather that Dean had recommended, I don't know if she talked to him or not, but what he told me, he said he recommended the moratorium, cause I asked her that night, I said, cause I got to thinking, I said, well, first I thought that moratorium would cover that. And then it was like, well, hold it, this is a totally different thing, and it didn't cover it, so he recommended doing one on just the community solar, so that way it would give time to, and then otherwise, that way nobody can just come in and apply for permits and that way either.
Cause that article you sent out, what did that talk about? 10,000 acres in 2 counties?
Oh, yeah, and I didn't get it read either, I just,
Yeah, no, it was-
yeah, when I seen it, I called Doug, and I didn't know if he'd seen it yet either, and I said, I'll send that out to everybody then, so.
That was out in Maine, yeah,
Right, pretty significant.
yeah, it was, I thought that was. a
But
lot.
yeah, you could end up with that here too, that, okay, well, 10 neighbors in a row on it, well, then pretty soon you got several acres, it'd be like the draft horse project then. It would be separate projects, but it would look like one great big one.
I know what Blackhawk's got, but there's guys going around in Blackhawk County for 40 acres, $2,300 an acre, trying to get it passed.
$2,300 an acre.
Yep.
That's an annual payment.
Crazy, isn't it? What do we wanna do at our next, oh, Karen?
Well, I was talking to Brad Davis one day, Doc's son. He is deep into real estate. He was reminding me how our dads owned businesses, his and mine, and how hard it was to collect debt. There was nobody, there was no way to get it. And he said, when all these companies go away, and we don't know where they are, and there's nobody, there's no face, how are these farmers going to collect
The money they were promised,
the hundreds of thousands of dollars they were promised?
they're not.
He said our dads could never collect a bad debt. And that was even seeing these people walking the streets of Tama and Toledo every single day.
They'll never get it, that's what I've been saying, and make the problems for their grandchildren.
Or maybe their children.
Well, it depends, if it's last 50, 60 years, their grandchildren will be there, they're the ones that's gonna suffer, no doubt about it.
Laura, did you want something?
2 things. First of all, I think it might be Dubuque County that's got what she was talking about. I was just doing
Alright.
some Googling. Second of all, with the, what do you call it? The fee structure and fee schedules. Did other counties have something similar with fee schedules, or did they have a set fee in there? And if they had a set fee, is that relative to what our fee schedule would be? Or would ours be a lot lower
Are you talking the permit fee?
for permit fees, for the
Looked
fee
like
schedule?
ours was gonna be higher than what the other one I looked at, I don't even remember who that was from, but theirs was a flat fee and ours was
Quick
based on.
calculation, it'd be a lot more.
Yeah, ours is based on dollars of the total project,
Okay.
so.
And that would be the company telling you what their total project would be and not somebody else? So they could lowball you and say, our project's gonna be this, and
Based on their design, based on what.
In theory, they could,
They
yeah.
submit, yeah.
permit there, we got all this information from the owner's manual to the,
Yeah.
they really,
It'd be hard for them to really lowball you much. They might.
They ain't gonna get a lot out of you.
Yeah, no, yeah,
we got all these engineering,
yeah.
It amounts to telling the assessor your basement's not carpeted.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
Before we adjourn, we need to look at dates and what we wanna do next meeting. So one thing we wanna do is we wanna research this whether it's Dubuque County or not, we wanna, talk to an attorney on how we, how do we word that? These,
I got some time for me to talk to the attorney.
do you?
Yeah.
Alright, that'd be
You
great,
mean County Attorney Brent?
between now and the next meeting,
Yeah,
alright,
I just need somebody, if you can set me up with an appointment with him or something.
Oh, yeah, you just call
he's
them.
in the phone
Yep.
book, that's what I've done.
Yep, just call into the office there and they'll set you up.
What else do we wanna discuss at our next meeting? Whether the hay is dry?
Finishing up if there's any other.
I think we're in pretty decent shape.
We're getting close, but
How did you want that worded on the Dubuque County ordinance on easements or?
yeah, I wanna look into, which county had that printed out that you could not get easement before going to the supervisor.
Well, I just did another
Board of Supervisors.
search and it said several Iowa County solar ordinances include provisions that could potentially render an easement void if signed before county approval. Specifically, Adair County Ordinance number 38, Poweshiek County Ordinance 33, Union County Ordinance 74 specify that easements granted before the effective date or before project approval may not be valid under ordinance regulations. So that's 3 more counties to maybe look into.
We have pieces of it there, but I don't think we have the whole thing.
Right.
So I don't think we have that piece.
Adair, Poweshiek, and Union you just mentioned.
That's what my search just came up with. I don't know how accurate that might be. I haven't pulled them up to look specifically. The Dubuque one looked like maybe a draft, so I don't know if that one has been put through or not.
Oh, I don't know how to word it, discuss,
Yeah, I've got researched county ordinances concerning easements, Dubuque, Adair, Poweshiek, and Union.
alright. We'll discuss that, hopefully we'll have some information on it by our next meeting,
Yeah, if you could send that out, then, so we could each look at it before,
good idea.
and then we'll, whatever you find out, we can review.
And then the
I think that one, the last one we've got here, that maybe,
Well,
you know, you can update, yeah, we'll get an updated one here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, we'll take that in and we'll just, I'll go over and find out
On
what else we
your,
need to do.
corrections and everything in here, then you wanna get them sent out so we can send that to the attorney, or you wanna just finalize that next meeting and then send to the attorney?
I'd send it to the attorney now, see what he thinks.
And we'd have to add later if we decide to, this part about the easements.
Oh, yeah, you would add that in here then.
We'd
Okay,
add it
so you
later.
wanna wait until that's all in there?
Well, I don't know, we could get them started on it,
Yeah,
couldn't
you
we? What does anybody else think?
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Have them take a look at it.
You gotta look at it sometime.
Yeah, they can give us some yellow flags if they see
Yeah,
them.
to grind through and make sure that the definitions, or what
I didn't
definitions
get to
that
that
word.
tonight.
Referring to this section and
Yeah,
that
the
section and referring
CSR
back,
means this.
then it makes sense, yeah.
Right,
So Carol, when you have that, and if you wanna send that to me, and then I'll get it to Brent, so he can look that over, and, say, how's this look so far, and then these other items can be added to it.
I don't have school Friday, so I can work on it.
Okay.
And there could be other things in there that we address that don't have a definition that need one to add it in. That's
Well, we
why-
had one that doesn't have a definition. We have one term that we put in.
Yeah, there was one we caught tonight, but there could be other ones in there too. Just the way the different ones that we copied have worded, actually worded things a little differently from each other.
I have one more question. You mentioned there were a lot of references to the Iowa code. Do you guys at least have like a summary of what that link would be so that we kind of know when we're reading it what the Iowa code we'd be going to is? Does it say like,
If you look at the Tama County ordinances,
Yeah,
It's chock full
full
of
of
it.
them.
okay, but does it say something like
Iowa Code Chapter 564A.
easements based on Iowa code blah blah blah, or does it just say Iowa code blah?
I think it gives you like, it gives you the code and then a sub,
Yeah.
like 0.4, 0.5, it'll point you right where you're going.
Okay.
I think, what'd you say, reference that code in there 13, 14 times?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
So,
0.4,
And
0.5.
right off, right down the back, going through all
I just didn't know if it had a topic associated with where you're going.
the.
So you're not just randomly clicking
Yeah.
links going, I didn't want to read this, I didn't want to read this.
So,
You know?
that should all be in the draft of the ordinance.
Okay. So yeah, if it's just a bunch of links, you're like, I need to find the right link. So it's like
I understand what you're
setbacks link
Yeah.
this or
saying. Yeah,
something link this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
it
Thanks.
gives you the code and then the sub, the point or whatever,
To get to the right place.
to get to the right area in the code. So
okay,
before you
so when are we gonna meet?
Right, I'm thinking June at the soonest because of the planting. Still gonna be hairy for those of us that have to make hay, but we gotta give it up. We've got 4. Does anybody disagree with that we should wait till June, or?
I ain't stopping my planner again. Tonight, we're not.
No, it's, we
I think I
got,
bought a nurse and a sedative in there for me, but.
Pick a date, I'll check with Karen and make sure it's.
we got 4, 11, 18, and 25, those 4 Wednesdays.
4 will not work. The first Wednesday won't work.
Alright, so we got 11, 18, and 25. You wanna check your calendars?
11 works for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check with Karen here.
I don't have the refrigerator here, so
I know what you mean, I looked at our calendar before I left.
I should have taken a picture of
He's
it.
gonna check, see if it's being available.
Hey, Karen, any
I think the
problems?
week before is supposed to be dry, so you should have your hay done.
Let's hope so. I don't usually have hay done by the 4th of June. But you never know what the year.
That's my goal, anyway, we'll find out.
18th or 25th, any of those Wednesdays. Okay. Karen's gone the 18th and the 25th, will the 11th work?
11th,
11th will work.
alright, what you do it June 11th?
That's what we'll do.
Works for
June
me.
11th, if that's okay then.
That sounds great.
Good thing we called you and asked. Alright.
What were the topics going to be for the next meeting,
June
guys?
11th,
What were the topics?
Bob's got him there,
Research, first we're gonna go over,
we're gonna find,
we'll
go
go over
ahead.
the, yeah, I'm sorry, we'll go over the draft again and then we'll research the Dubuque, Adair, Toshik, and Union County ordinances concerning easements.
Okay.
David, what were you gonna say?
Bob, you need to put on the list, and I'm saying this out loud so you guys can hear it. We probably are going to need an ordinance on, or a zoning ordinance on, nuclear powered, the small nuclear powered things, and the, fuel station, power station using natural gas. I got a call from Ted, and, they were asking, or they were talking about different options, and so,
So, the nuclear power and
what
the.
I was
gas
asking.
powered
Yeah.
generating station.
Hey, Craig, you remember when we talked about this, you said we only need twice.
So the natural gas power generating station would be like the light plant.
Baby again, didn't
Be
I?
like what?
That'd be just like the light plant like at Marshalltown, or is it something different?
I don't know, he said it would be about a 20-acre project or place, because you have to bring the pipe up, tap it, let it go back down, and then they would run the plant to generate electricity.
So
That'd
that'd
be
be
a
a,
utility scale thing.
that'd be basically a electrical plant like Marshalltown then,
I don't
natural
know
gas.
what not Marshalltown's looks like.
Then they're probably talking about modular nuclear facilities.
Yeah.
Makes sense, cause I got a survey on them a few months ago.
Just, that's FYI, that they're, what he told me, they were probably going to hold back on solar for, 2 years, because they anticipate the state telling us what they're going to let them do.
Not surprised.
They give you an idea, how much more power are they gonna need with all these? I mean, it just seems like power demand is going through the roof.
Oh, it will with AI, just
Yeah.
sucks power big time.
So Doug, should I just, you said that's what Ted Renewables?
Yeah, Ted Renewables,
Okay, so I could look in and find out what the details are and then let you know, and if you want that on the agenda for, those are gonna be separate topics that we'll have to add to that other sheet.
Right, I don't know if you're gonna need them right this second, you probably can finish this.
Something down the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thinking
just,
about
I
it.
just wanna make sure that
Make
it's
her
out
aware
there.
of it. Make
Yeah,
us
make
aware of
it
it.
aware of it.
We'll add it to this list when I find out. Now, when I find out the details, I'll call you and let you know, and then we can let the board members know too and find out.
Don't forget, Bob.
Oh, I won't forget it.
Take
So
those.
Steve will have the attorney.
This'll be another big old deal here for the, get
So
ready
Laura-
for another deal for the paper, especially
Laura-
with nuclear.
To answer your question, Steve's gonna have an opinion from the, he's gonna talk to the county attorney to get an opinion, legal opinion on some of this. We had questions about that. It'll be on our agenda for next week, next month. And a
Next
half.
meeting.
June,
Next
next
meeting.
meeting.
You guys are gonna have to rename your group to something with all this other stuff coming up. You got turbines and nuclear.
I had a name, but they don't like it.
Yeah.
What would it be, Craig?
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
You just wanted to use the gavel, didn't you?
I did.
See, what do you say?
If anybody wants to know, the Red Shop got a very program is tomorrow night in Marshall.
Say for me,
That's what you
What's that for?
Red Shop tomorrow night in Marshall.
What's that about?
That way it's
You
Friday.
know what, it's not.
I will number two.
Really appreciate it.
Thing too is,
We don't say it.
I will race number 3 on the track.
That's right. Are you?
Well, at least they're ain't buying something.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
That's why I was supposed to.